right, this is If My People Bible Reading Part 135. It gets better and worse for those of you who do not hear and obey and those who live in the countries that are going to be massively judged. Yahweh's going to have his protective arm around you. Is that what you're getting to when you read this? So you stay up on the reading. We are now in the Ezekiel chapter 30 and verse 20. Reading 1 through 5. And it happened in the 11th year, in the first month of the 7th day, the word of Yahweh came to me. Scroll number 6. Now these are, of course, just a reminder, totally out of order because every single Bible, most every single Bible in the world, which there are millions and millions of them, are written out of order. And there's no explanation why. No one wrote down explained it when they created this order of the Bible back in 320 to 326 AD, why they did that. But it's remained the same. It's just one plagiarism after the other. But if we're reading it by the dates of the scroll that Ezekiel actually wrote it, because he signed and dated each of these scrolls, which most other Bible readings don't have by other prophets. It's very important to read the letters in the order that someone writes them, just like you read a book from chapter 1 to the end, right? Okay, what's going on here? Now he says, this is Yahweh, I've gone after my people. I've gone after Babylon. I've gone after the people around that area, the Assyrians and everybody else. I'm correcting them. I'm destroying them. I've gone after Egypt, and Egypt is Western thought. And now I'm going to correct you because all of my people, Israel, the people, not Jewish and all the other tribes, Judah, Benjamin, all the tribes, all 12, and all grafted in, are sinning. And I'm going to correct my kids, and they're located throughout the world, so I'm going after these countries. And I'm going after you first. You're going to be corrected. And if you don't correct and you don't care, well, then you're just part of the other world that's going to be corrected, that are the sinners, those who will never confess to Yeshua. Never. So you're going to be treated the same way. So which is it? So now he's going after the leaders. I am against the pharaohs. The Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. He's going after the leadership. That's next. Well, how's he going to do that? Well, he explains that Babylon is going to be given some power and authority to go after the Western worlds. Who's Babylon? Isn't that interesting to today? What's going on? Who's coming in our borders? You can put up all the walls you want. It will help a little. You should have walls. You should have protection. But if you've already let them in, and you let them go to Michigan and other states and intermarry, and they have multiple wives. They have up to 4 wives. In the United States, they're not called wives, they're called concubines. By Sharia law, you've allowed it. 2 or 3 states have allowed it, and multiple states are now allowing it. So if you have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 wives, and they don't work because they don't work in Eastern thought, they stay at home and tend the children, the dozens and dozens of kids, where white Anglo-Saxons have between 1 and 1.6 children. If you don't have 2.3 by world standards, your population goes down. If you have 2 to match you, and the population goes down because of early death and disease and famine and so forth. So, okay, so we're allowing these people, and by the way, they don't have to work, because if you've got 3 or 4 or 5 wives collecting unemployment, they get up to, I think in the households now, around $49,000 in free cash to sit at home and do nothing for the rest of your life, money from you, the taxpayer. This book of Ezekiel is as live today as it's ever been. In fact, it was for today. Because it wasn't listened to by Nehemiah. Nobody paid attention to Ezekiel at all. And for 25 to 30 years, Those scrolls were in the possession of the people who went back from Babylon to Jerusalem to build the temple and live back in Jerusalem again, allowed by Cyrus, who let them go. And they could have done exactly what Ezekiel said, because Ezekiel said what Yahweh said. And they said no. So yeah, this book is almost 100% today. This is what you need to know today. So this is what Yahweh says. Now we're in chapter 31, and we're starting in scroll number 7. And it happened in the 11th year, in the 3rd month of the first day, the word of Yahweh came to me. Son of man, say to the leadership, Pharaoh, kings of Egypt, western worlds, and his hordes, which is Congress, Senate, same thing, hordes. Who can be compared to you in majesty? Consider Assyria, once a cedar in Lebanon with beautiful branches overshadowing the forest. It towered on high, its top above the thick foliage. There's been greatness before the United States, okay? Yeah, we're maybe the greatest, most powerful military, whatever, on earth today. And then England, and then before that, France had their time in Spain, and then before that, the Romans, and then before that, the Thracians, the Greeks, and then before that, Egyptians, before, Babylon. You keep going back, Nimrod. Everybody's had great kingdoms, and I'm not even talking about the Chinese and the Mongolians area and so forth, the Huns, the Goths, the Picts, the Vikings. Everybody's had great kingdoms. Africa at one time, a gigantic kingdom. The north and the south of Egypt, incredibly powerful. They've all had their time in the sun. Is our sun running out? Is our time running out? That's what chapter 31 is all about, and you should have read. It's talking about verse 11, chapter 31. I handed it over to the ruler of the nations for him to deal with according to its wickedness. I cast it aside. Now, comment, it was and still is that Yahweh decides who sits on the high seats. And Yahweh brings up and brings down nations as he pleases. We need to remember this next time we're angry at a leader. We blame it on a president or prime minister, government officials. Communion through prayer with Yahweh is the best way to see any changes. That's how you take your armor of Yahweh. Putting on the full armor of Yahweh is the sword is not a sword. It's not a machine gun. It's not a machete. It's prayer. It's the sword of truth. And by the way, you don't have to be an expert in reading the Bible, because Yahweh says, when you are before those who are accusing you, which are accusing me, I, Yahweh, will put my words into your mouth as he pleases. So that's a good news. You should be in the Word every day, because reading the Word is a response from Yahweh. Talking to the Father by talking in your mind, speaking it out, writing it down. Is your prayers going up and the prayers coming down, or is the Word you read? You must do that. Even the blind will work very hard at Braille to learn this. So there's not much excuse. All right, verse 18 of chapter 31. Time is good. Verse 18. Which of the trees of Eden can be compared to you in splendor and majesty? Yet you, too, will be brought down with the trees of Eden to the earth below. You will lie among the uncircumcised with those killed by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his swords and all his hordes, declares Adonai Yahweh. Jehovah. YHVH. Not God, but all those others. Comment. This chapter, you have noticed, has taken on a theme that spreads throughout time itself. Consider the importance of the Melchizedek. It is easy to then understand that Hasatan, who has no original thought, is simply a thief. And so he has always had false priests, easy to then, and kings, false governments, rulers, to oppress the people of the world. A pharaoh is simply a king, a priest, a living God. Napoleon declared himself to be a living God, by the way. He called himself a emperor. Same thing. Chinese do that. They call themselves emperor. That doesn't mean king. It means God. with a little g. These gods are false in all manner, but they have done their damage throughout time, as we have witnessed. A false, lying, deceptive, cunning Hasatan and all his minions will do their best to corrupt, will come to an end when Yahweh decides. From the first time in the Garden of Eden, which began in a tree, by the way, talking about trees here, starts with the trees, will come to an end when the real Melchizedek, Yeshua, will return. That's scroll number 7. So every chapter that we're reading here, I know it's just in short 15-minute segments, but it is so important to don't rush through it. Just say, well, I got to get this done. If you say this, well, I got to get this done when you're reading the word, stop. You need to stop. Take a break, if that's what it takes. Because you don't want to have to end up saying, I just want to get this over with. You hear that a lot of people. Well, they're not living for the moment. They're living for another moment. So the moment they're in, they're not happy with. Anyone who always wants just to get this thing done and says that, what they're telling you is, I'm not happy with the situation I'm in. I'm not happy with you or anybody else. I'm not happy with me. I just want to get this over with and get to the next thing. And then they get to the next thing. And then they're at the next thing and they don't want to be there either. They want to be at the next thing. So, is that person happy with themselves? Loving themselves? They're not even loving themselves. You have to love yourself. That's what Yeshua means, love yourself. You have to appreciate who you are and where you are and what you are before you can ever look at someone else and offer a helping hand. That's what he's saying. All right. So the next reading is scroll 8. So to get to scroll 8, we go past scroll 10. Scroll 10 is the beginning of chapter 32. But no, don't. No. Go to chapter 32, verse 17. That is scroll 8. Now we're reading this in order because, as you've noticed as I'm commenting, it flows. It flows. If you read it the way your Bible is right in front of you right now, wherever you are, and I've got some comments from you from Europe, England, and South Africa already. So wherever you are out there, and you read it the way it's written in front of you, it's a little confusing. It kind of goes bing, 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 and it bounces all over. I don't know why they did this. I'm not to correct the whole world. I'm just correcting what I can see. I see things in front of me. I see a coffee cup, and I see Yod, He, Vav, He, and then I look up Yod, He, Vav, He, Yod, He, Vav, He. It's not Jehovah, is it? It's not God, is it? It's not even Yahweh. Yah sounds great, though. Yah is the way. For those that use that, I don't have any, I'm not upset with you at all. Because look what you've been taught, and taught by who, that total confusion. All I say is this: his name is not G-O-D. Yahweh knew that. He knew that a million years ago. He knew people would, no matter where you are, you could be in China or Vietnam and fall down, and you hear somebody say, Jesus Christ. Where do they learn that? They don't know English at all, but they know how to use profane language. Or they fall down and they use the GD word. I think Yahweh knew that a million years ago. And so his name is not JD. And Yeshua's and his son's name is not Jesus, son of Zeus, which is Greek. The people that put the sign of Yeshua on his tree when he was hung were mocking him, okay? They were mocking him. That's why it says Jesus, or Jesus of Nazareth. He is the King of the Jews on his, it's okay? Just remember that. Okay, the next reading, we'll see you then. Bless you guys. And thanks for the comments on the emails. I'm trying to improve. everything.